My name is Carla Huelsmann. Living with epilepsy has been a lifelong experience for me since the age of 2. What I've learned in the past 45 years has been an experience of a lifetime that I wish I would have known a lot of the stuff beforehand, but I want to be able to share with you what I've learned in the past 10 years since coming to the Mayo Clinic and what has helped me in the areas of my experience with having a successful surgery and the outcome of it. When I was pregnant with my child, I didn't have a seizure in any time except for one small seizure, like an aura, and I thought, gosh, I feel so good. My body just feels so good. And I realized that after having her and getting back on the medicines, I had a hard time adjusting to those medicines. And what I didn't realize that I thought would take like maybe 6 weeks to get back in the track, it took me 7 years of adjusting a lot of medicines after I found out that I was one of the 20% of the people who suffered with seizures who had a hard time getting their medicines controlled by the balancing out your hormones and the female changes in your body. And I found a specialist in St. Louis who was able to try to help me, but they did everything that they could to possibly help me control the seizures. And when I maxed out on the medicine I was taking, I wasn't able to drive, wasn't able to work, was not able to carry a life, daily events. And I saw that take place because of the medicines we're trying to get leveled out first was not working. And I saw the toll that it took on my family. I saw the toll it took on my life because I was working full time and then now I'm not. And my license had been suspended for about 7 years off and on. And what I noticed was, one day was when I had my daughter at the park where we live, I was sitting on the merry-go-round wondering if I was going to be on disability and just exactly how we were going to be able to maintain a life if I was on disability. And I never thought that I would get to that point of thinking like that, much less did I want to think that way. And what happened was, there was all the medicines that we knew of that the doctors were trying. They would work for a short time, but nothing would help to where it would maintain it and where I could get back into the everyday work. And I was used to working every day full time, and adding another challenge of raising a family and trying to maintain a daily life was hard to get functioned and hard to maintain that daily activity. And we were searching the internet that day, and it was around January of 2000. And my daughter was 6, and my daughter and I prayed that night for answers to finding help so that mom could have a normal life and that mom could be able to live a life like a parent and a worker and be able to maintain a full family life again. And what happened was when we just prayed that we'd find answers, then my sister-in-law, we were in the chat room and we found the Mayo Clinic was doing research, and actually they were doing options for people who had difficulties with controlling seizures. And it was a surgery that we found on the website. And I had called the Mayo Clinic in March of 2000, and I was so impressed at getting the over and above experience. And I said, for my 35th birthday, I want to go to the Mayo Clinic and start all over because I need to find what options are out there, and I hadn't found any options in the 35 years before that were going to help me get back, what I needed. I had it, but I was losing it, and I needed to maintain a life again. And there was a doctor who took all the information for me, and he said, there's a doctor here who I know that can help you. I don't know if he's here, but let me see if he is. And his name is Dr. Casino. He said, let me see if I can get him in here and see if he is available to see you. And he walked in, and I just knew from that moment, I knew it was it. I just had that gut feeling. I'm like, he knows what he's doing. And so he had me meet with his nurse, Cindy, and had me look to see about being in the Epilepsy Evaluation Center. And I was in the Epilepsy Evaluation Center where they decrease your medicines and they do the exercise, and they will induce the seizures to see if they can get them to happen, and have them on monitor and video to see if they can find it in the brain as well as the physical reactions it's causing on videotape to be able to monitor the effects of what's going on. And I had been in the evaluation center for about 3 days, and then they told me, I can remember Dr. So coming in and saying that we found the area that was causing the seizures, and the areas that are causing the seizures is also can cause your heart to skip a beat because your seizures are getting strong. And he said that that could cause a sudden cardiac arrest. Now, I had a 6-year-old daughter at the time, and I knew that I had some serious choices that I had to make, and hopefully I would find the answers that I needed for my help. And I asked if I could talk with Dr. Casino before we went back home. Dr. Casino had told me that he asked me a few questions, which I thought were very impressive. He said, do you feel like, that this is causing your life to come to a halt? I said, yes. Do you feel like your life is being controlled by the seizures and that you're not able to live a full life? I said, yes. Do you feel that your family and the outcome of your future is being affected? I said, yes. And he said, if you've answered, questions to all those answered yes, then you probably may want to consider the next step. But you have to do more testing in order to see if you're a good candidate for the surgery. And that everything looked like I would be a good candidate for the surgery, and that it was my choice to make the decision. And they told me I could make the decision all the way down to the last second before I was under anesthesia. It is your choice and it's your decision, and if anything that you decide not to have it, then that's perfectly fine. We'll work with you on what we can do to give you the best of our health benefits that you can get for yourself to better your life. And it was a historical event in my life to have my life back. So I had the surgery, and it was over at St. Mary's Hospital in Rochester. I was just really happy to have the surgery and to be able to have a chance to have my life back and to have the opportunity to live independent, which I had never really quite done before. And I was getting ready to go home about 3 days after the surgery, and on that evening I started to feel sick, and I'm like, there is no way I can drive back home 8 hours from the Mayo Clinic. And it happened that Dr. Meyer came in at the right time, and he was coming to check on me, and I said, wow, I am so glad I saw you because I'm getting so sick and I just feel very nauseous. And he said, we're going to keep you here another day. We'll see how you do the next day, and don't worry about anything because we will not let you leave until we know for sure that you're in good shape before you go back home to Illinois. And so I was so impressed. And I do remember being home a few days afterwards, and I remember feeling like this oozing that started to come from the side of my brain. It felt like it was wanting to come out of my ear, and I was so scared because it sent me on the couch, like with the couch felt like it was spinning, and I didn't know what to do. And I called up here to the Mayo Clinic. I called up to the surgeon's office, and the nurse talked to me on the phone, and they told me to, you need to get checked out to make sure that it's right, and that you could go to a doctor. You may need to come back up here, but if you can get it checked out and make sure that it's right, you need to stay on the couch and be rested. If you have any questions, call, but please remain calm and just, read a book and keep calm and don't be anxious because it's all going to be okay. And then we recommend that you go to a counselor if you need some help, because that will probably help you as well with some of the situations you're going through. And I will say that after I did have the surgery, I started to, because my brain was so used to being focused on preparing for a seizure, because I had increased seizures from 93 until 2000, and that was after I had my first baby. And I had normally like 10 to 12 a day, and I wasn't used to having 10 to 12 a day. I was used to having maybe once a month, usually around the time of the month. So to be on guard is what was happening, but I didn't know that. And I also was experiencing a lot of panic and anxiety. When I did talk to Dr. Casino, he was very helpful to help me during that time, and as always. And what happened was, he told me, he said, there's a percentage of people who have the surgery that can experience panic attacks and can experience those after having the surgery. And he asked me if I regretted having the surgery, and I said no. And he said, I would be back for my 3-month checkup, but I always called him if I had a question or someone was able to answer that for me. And I did go to a counselor, and when I came back for my 3-month checkup, through the counseling and through the support groups, as well as definitely the prayers have helped me, and the strength by faith to get me through it. And what happened was, I came for my 3-month checkup back in February of 2001, and I saw a huge difference in my life that definitely was by prayer and just the faith walk. But what happened was, I came back here for my 3-month checkup, and and they said that it was amazing to see the turnaround, from where you were at. And this was more like a 6-month checkup. And so I was scheduled to come back in a year, but he also told me they talked with Dr. Trineri, and Dr. Trineri had mentioned that you should get some counseling and you should seek a really good counselor to help you to discern what is a seizure and what is not. And there happened to be a doctor at the hospital in my area in Illinois that was specialized in this area. And I asked if he would work with Dr. Casino, and I asked Dr. Casino if he would help him, understand what's going on. So I was so impressed at that, because it really helped my recovery go a lot faster and go a lot stronger and keep moving in the right direction. Because then I still had that connection to know that Dr. Casino was there to help me and get me through those areas, because he was the one that helped me from the beginning to try to find out what was going on. And this was my first chance to have my life back. And I would, like every 3 months or so, I would send a letter or kind of give a phone call what was going on. And I was really pleased with, the feedback, and be able to have that support up here at the Mayo Clinic to help me get through those areas. And so for 6 years we did decreasing of medicines, and I came off all my meds for the first time September of 2006, and it was Labor Day weekend. I took my last Tegretol. Now, I had never been medicine free for 45 years, except for the time that I was pregnant with Kelsey, that we came off of the medicines for that short time, and I did okay with that. And so after 45 years, I took the first step of taking the last pill in September of 2006. What happened was I did okay with that until October 31st, when I felt like I was going through the same symptoms I kind of had with being in the Epilepsy Evaluation Center. When we came off the meds, it was like a withdrawal feeling, and it felt like my brain was going in two separate paths, and it felt like I didn't have that speech and that attention and the effect, just the know-all that my brain was used to knowing, or knowing how to respond to things. And my family had said, Carla, your speech is slurring and you're not getting the same language out like you're used to, so I can tell if something's not right. And then it was that morning, I thought of calling the Mayo Clinic, and I'm like, no, I'll wait one more day. And had I known what I know now, I should have called the Mayo Clinic a day ahead. What happened was I called that morning, and they said, are you under a lot of stress? I said, I woke up and I bit my tongue, and I had symptoms, kind of like a small aura, but nothing of the major, pukey or rushing, and I've never had any of that ever since I had the surgery ever again. And they told me to go back on the Tegretol and just try 200 milligrams, because that's where I started, and do that and see how you do. And when I took the 200, which had been one in the morning and one in the evening, 12 hours apart, the first time I took it, I felt like a sizzle in my brain. It sounded like soda fizzing, and I could tell that the right side and the left side of the brain came together. And all I can say is it was like a road that connected, and it connected, and then I just knew that was it, because I cannot explain it except to tell you that it connected. The other thing I can tell you is from the brain part is that after the surgery, there was a pressure that was released from my brain. I can't explain it. I just know that it must have been there all my life, but there is a pressure that is off of my brain. So that is the other thing I noticed after surgery. And it's been 10 years now, and I do take medicines for the surgery. I have been on, this is my 10-year checkup that I just had recently, and I'm very pleased to have come to the Mayo Clinic. I am pleased to have Dr. Casino as my doctor, and I am pleased with the results. And I have been living independently for my first time in my life over the past 4 or 5 years, and I have never thought I would do that, because there's always a fear about being alone. There's a fear about the unknown. There's a fear about, can you manage a job? Can you drive? Because those are issues. Those are actual, real issues that can go and do happen. And the reason that I believe I have made it this way is from the help here at the Mayo Clinic, the help with the people who have been able to support me, the prayers, and the people who have reached out to me in those areas with prayers and support, and the faith walk for sure. And I also believe that with the help of journaling and the support counseling that I had those are all topics that I have learned. So I took the past 10 years, I took all the writings that I did and I summarized them into very quick, to the point, find the information, find all the options that are out there, and I just put it all in one book called There's Hope. And I made it into a daily devotional and a journal with the questions that I've learned through counseling as well as with support groups. And I put this all in one book, and that's my goal is, or my dream is, that it will help somebody. And that way it will know that they're not alone. There's a lot of choices that have to be made in life, and this is the choice that I've made, and this is the best choice that I have made.